Now let's talk about organization today. So, what is the state of HR function? So, can you walk us from your vantage point over your journey in this field? How has HR function grown since last 2 decades? You said you have been
Yeah.
serving that community.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was touching the point that it used to be connected with payroll, right? And in processing benefits and processing, documentation, having compliance. That was what it was before, and people, or where they would kind of resolve the problems among employees and litigation. The bureaucracy, so many red tapes. I never thought that way. I always thought, I'm here to make a difference in people's life through their careers, and from the get-go, I would do the tactical things, and I learned all the tactical things. But my thought was like, I'm going to be a partner. I'm going to be a partner so I can, if this individual has an aspiration to be, a vice president, what are the things that I can do personally to add value to this individual and allow them to achieve their career, right? So for coming from that, mindset, right, I evolved very fast to be strategic. But the major change that happened is it's automation, it's systems, right? Because if we don't need to be going through documentation or going through the details of what HR used to be, and we're freed, that means that we have the capacity to add time to think about what to do better, can we evolve, what can we grow into it, and how can we influence, right? And therefore, all those systems that are just processing everything, from payroll, from benefits, from for all the documentation, for views that the employee is going to have, on top of having that access to like their own individual development, and there are systems for everything today, right? It gives us like, okay, now I am behind the system, and I can be the one influencing what we're going to do next in the organization. For instance, right, HR as a people function, right, it was extremely important for the decision making of all the things that happened in the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic to this day, because we are the closest to know how a human is going to interact, how they're going to feel, because we're always talking. And good people leaders, they are going to train their HR business partners to be talking to every single person at all times, to do a pulse check. Are you guys okay? How is the department? How are you feeling? Right? So we can be proactive in developing programs where we are going to create tools. Like, for instance, everybody know that there was a time where everybody wanted to do something to do with their mental healthness, right? And we implemented an application that gave time for everybody to do meditation, listen to certain music, do Pilates, do core, make their bodies and their minds like full with with the wellness, instead of sitting at home and continue working, getting to the point of burnout, or thinking about horrible things. Because in the beginning of the pandemic, we only had horrible things coming all the time. Remember the days that we didn't know if a vaccine was going to be created, and that hole that was for the any person, right? So we came in and we started developing along with the C-level, but coming from our standpoint, first we need to be extra communicative. Typically, who owns communication within organizations? HR. So that means that let me tell you how we're going to talk to the employees. Let's augment, make it much more hours of communication. Let's do all hands. Let's talk through it with the employees. 20 years ago, it was a silence between the C level and the employees. Once in a while, they would do a town hall, right? Now it is like we have weekly touch bases, we have newsletter, we have them going and talking to the employees, having one-on-ones, having open office. So we humanize that, and that's the idea. Typically, it doesn't come from. I'm sorry, my CFO friends, but it doesn't come from them,
Yeah.
right? It comes from people that go like, you know what? I think I've done this. Let me help you to get to some ideas where we can improve, like the engagement and the psychological safety of our organization, our employees.
So that's a fair point, and I think I want your perspective on one very interesting thought I was thinking about. So on this podcast, we had various guests, and I had two sort of futurists in the early part of our podcast, and they both are TED speakers. They both are talking about future of organizations, and one guy said, "Hey, you know what? In a future, I don't see HR." Right, so his perspective is HR function itself is like bunch of apps put together serving an organization, right? So benefits or whatever, right? So recruiting. The other is the other
And the apps are going to be run by whom?
I
By a robot
so
without feelings? I
so
want to
that's
meet this guy.
so yes, so that's one guy. The second guy says people, right? So people are complicated. People, you need a people's representation, and you need a more empathetic arm. So HR needs to be, instead of more systematic, stereotypical, um, process beefed up arm, it should be more empathetical and more people side. And fortunately, or I don't know if I can judge it, but the world is moving towards the second theory, right? So we have seen HR to people, right? So CHRO to Chief People Officer. So what is your take when it comes to the future of HR? So having these two totally dystopian, two sort of polar thoughts, what do you think?
Well, first for the one piece that got me, it pinched my nerve, was you don't need a person, just put all these applications. Yeah, you can, of course the applications are here to elevate the people that are leading the function. So we are not going anywhere. We are more critical than ever because we are, now organizations are figuring out that, oh my God, I don't hire a mathematician. I hire a person who is a mathematician.
Hmm.
And that person has feelings. Oh my God, they have feelings. Right? So what do we do with them? I said, work is a continuation of human being and how human interact and how human feel, right? So, I'm not saying that we are, our organization should be a family, right? But our organization should be a happy continuation of your
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
so you can feel complete and balanced, right? So, today, what are the things that I'm doing with my organization, right? We are developing programs where we can, really, catapult people's potential, right? So if they are in a swim lane of the individual contributor and they want to be, like a principal architect, right? A fellow or something like that. What are the steps that we need to do to, really take this individual to the end of their potential, right? Or if they have a little bit of the capabilities of leadership, they want to be a leader and they want to be when they see level, right? So what are the tracks that I need to put it together so they can go there, right? And individually develop those programs. It's very individualized because, again, we're talking about human.